The next delegation is Stephen Palmateer, co-chair, Wilmot Civic Action Group. Welcome, Stephen. You have the podium and you have 5 minutes.
5 minutes means I must have registered on time. I think in the agenda it says I'm going to be speaking about Honda's pause in growth at their Alliston plant. I'm actually only going to touch on that because there's been lots going on in our community since I registered. Most recently, Chair Redman, your interview last week with the Kitchener Record. I'd like to begin with that interview with Luisa D'Amato. It reminds me a lot of Margaret Thatcher. You remind me a lot of Margaret Thatcher, a very powerful woman. Does anybody do this if you know a lot of young faces in the crowd? Anybody? Margaret Thatcher? Mostly over here, not so much over here. The Iron Lady, she was called the Iron Lady. Her catchphrase being, "There is no alternative." And she was called the Iron Lady because she'd stick to her policies regardless of what her constituents wanted, regardless of the impacts to her parliamentary democracy, regardless of sound reason or impact on the people she ruled over. There is no alternative is a great way to, retroactively excuse any decisions that you make because it seems as though they were inevitable. So keep that in mind, all you young people over here with Tanner. You're probably going to hear lots of reasons why the encampment, we just couldn't move fast enough, it was inevitable, there was no alternative. But you'll find that things move very, very quickly when those in power want them to move very, very quickly. Anyway, returning to the interview. Luisa D'Amato, she begins, this is a major, highly controversial development. She's referring to the Wilmot Land Assembly. Yet it's rolling full speed ahead without a single public meeting or any information for the public about the costs, financial or otherwise. That made me raise my eyebrow. What other costs might there be besides financial costs? Our ability to grow food, the quality of our drinking water, is that a financial cost? The public's trust in our democratic institution, is that a cost? But there is no alternative, is there, Chair Redman? You respond to Louise, we're very confident it will continue because all the due diligence we've done this far points in the direction of continuing the assembly. Due diligence. The same due diligence that was exhibited when you hired a mercenary cash cropper from Strathroy outside of our region, paid him in our tax dollars to shred standing corn a month prior to its harvest. Is that due diligence? Now, in some cases, the topsoil is simply washing away into the storm drains. Has there been any due diligence on the liability that may cause downstream in Brant County? They don't have a groundwater aquifer like we do to filter their drinking water. So they have to pay to filter out the sediment that we're washing down the drain at present. And in fact, now I think you're renting some of that land back to some farmers who are currently out in those fields, perhaps not in the rain, but at this time of year, planting those fields again. Why bother hiding behind phrases like due diligence? Why not simply tell us what Margaret Thatcher knew 50 years ago? There is no alternative. Luisa D'Amato continues and she asks why the public doesn't know how much public money has been spent on this project, and then she continued by asking, when would they know? You replied, Chair Redman, how would that change the conversation?
Stephen, you have 1 minute remaining.
I don't know that having a price tag at this juncture would make any difference. I think that's ridiculous on its face, Chair Redman. A price tag at this juncture would make all the difference, even if it didn't account for things like drinking water. But I'll return to water perhaps in a moment, although I've got very little time left. Let's continue with your interview. There are so many things changing in our community, you said. We're growing, and we've got new investment and new markets and new supply chain. I got very, very confused at this. New investment? In the same interview, you said we lost $10 billion in investment over the past 5 years because we lacked a large industrial site. Well, first of all, we don't lack a large industrial site. We have the East Side lands. In fact, they're closer to the Grand River, the existing highways like the 401, the Breslau Airport, the existing railways. We've got new investment and yet we've lost $10 billion? What new markets are you referring to? What new supply chains? You continue. I know the European Union is looking at new trading partnerships
Stephen,
with us,
would you
she
like to
said.
sum up? You're out of time.
Let's sum up by quoting Mike Farwell, someone whom I've disagreed with publicly on this, and yet he continues in the record today, that's not the way a transparent organization operates. Any questions?
I don't see any questions, Stephen. Thank you.